right, good evening. How is everybody? Let's see here. Trying to make sure I am up and running and live everywhere. And look behind me. Yep. Okay. We are live on TikTok, we're live on Twitch, we're live on YouTube. And update to what's going on is I have finally upgraded my camera, which has resolved a major issue that I had where if you're watching me on TikTok, the only view you could see of me was kind of over my shoulder. With the new camera that I bought, which is a Insta360 Link 2C, I can now use that one singular camera and go live on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, all the good stuff, all over the place, everywhere, which, let me just drag this over here real quick. I mess everything up. Be able to see this. My chat back forward. Let's bring TikTok back to the front so I can see that chat as well. There's something under my foot that I need to move. Anyway, as I was saying, new camera. Yes. New camera, Insta360 Link 2C. Now I have a face cam on every single platform and can use one singular camera. It's very, very nice. Because if you watched any of my lives before, I had a face cam on Twitch and YouTube, so you could see this view. And on TikTok, it was kind of always over my shoulder, kind of watching what I was doing. So I've resolved that with the new camera. It's very, very nice. So, as the title says, we will be trying to finish up these initiates. All I gotta do is paint their backpacks and they'll be ready to go. And just out of curiosity, I want to push this guy up in front of my camera. That's pretty good, but I mean, obviously, this is going to be the best view of this guy or these guys. But you'll notice they don't have their backpacks, so we'll be working on painting their backpacks, and then once I get done with that, we will decide what to paint next, because my backlog is getting fairly extensive. I still have the intercessors from the combat patrol left to paint. Something to look at on the table there. See something. I've got the intercessors left to do from the combat patrol. I have the marshal left from the combat patrol, which looking forward to getting that done because I painted a head for that. And I think it turned out fairly well. Definitely need to get that mini cut out and assembled and primed and all that good stuff. But aside from the intercessors and the marshal from the combat patrol, I have Grimaldus and his retinue that I have to paint. My wife just found a High Marshal Helbrecht and brought it home for me. Thank you, honey. I love you very, very much. We've been looking for that mini for a while. It's been sold out and haven't been able to find it. I've got Grimaldus and his retinue to paint. I have a Brutalis Dreadnought that is waiting to be assembled and painted. Emperor's Champion, unit of Sword Brothers. So I have lots and lots of stuff to go through on my backlog of painting, because I am trying to get a 2,000 point Black Templar army to start really playing again. I've played a couple of games with my old Necrons, but since those models are 15 years old, and the available Necron list 15 years ago wasn't very extensive, I pretty much just get tabled in a couple of turns trying to play with those guys. So really wanting to get a new army painted up and get back into playing the tabletop game with a fancy painted cool new army. And I chose Black Templars just because I thought that they looked cool. I know there's some about them, but I mean, you can't tell me that's not a cool looking mini. They're amazing. The sculpts on those models are amazing. The Brutalis Dreadnought looks badass. Grimaldus, Helbrecht, all are amazing looking models. But enough. I mean, I would love a rose. I've never gotten a rose before. This is just something I do as a hobby. Oh, thank you so much for the rose. I don't really know how to say your name. Tabinki. I'll be honest. I don't know what the roses do or how the roses work, but any gifts are very much appreciated. Like I was saying, this is kind of something I do as a hobby, and I like to share my hobby time. Well, thank you so much for the roses. And like I said, I don't know how to say your name right, so I'm going to say Tybinky, and it could be Tybe K New York or something. I'm just not sure. But thank you so much for the roses. Those are the first gifts I've ever gotten on a live stream. Thank you so much. But so working on these initiates, I've got 2 backpacks left to paint to finish them up, and then I have the whole combat patrol, or not combat patrol, the whole Crusader squad done, minus the fact that I assembled one of my initiates wrong. I didn't assemble an initiate wrong. It was supposed to be a sword brother, but I assembled him as an initiate. So at some point, I need a second Crusader squad to make sure I have the appropriate number of minis for that unit. Like I said, enough with the rambling for a while. We're gonna start getting painting again. Gonna start off with some lead belcher for some silver parts on the backpacks. I need to grab one of my finished models for reference, and I am a dum-dum and don't have my microphone over here, so sorry if I sounded a little muted before. This should help, instead of having my microphone over there at my gaming desk talking into the back of it, basically. Anyway, so I just need to make the other backpacks look like this one, which is a finished mini. I think I've gotten him varnished and everything, so this one is done. I need to finish painting these 2 backpacks, glue them on, and then some of the basing material on these last couple of initiates, my neophytes, get them varnished, and then the last couple of details on the bases to finish them up, and then I can decide what to move on to after that. But like I said, we're gonna start with some of the silver bits here. Let's see. Use a fine tip on here. Pretty much all of my brushes are from Hobby Lobby. They just have cheap paint brushes that work for what I need, so I use Hobby Lobby brushes. They are, what are these things called? Master's Touch brushes. They're like $4 or $5 a piece. They work great for what they are. I do have like one or two more expensive fancy brushes for like edge highlighting and stuff, but for the most part, cheap Hobby Lobby brushes. I use reading glasses on top of my regular glasses for magnification, because I'm old and blind, and maybe next time I get my prescription filled, I may have to convert and join the bifocal club, simply for painting minis to have like a magnified portion of my prescription glasses. But, you know, we'll burn that bridge when we come to it. But, like I said, just kind of starting off with the lead belcher. Going around the backpack here. I'm just getting the parts that I want to be silver. You may hear puppies in the background. I say puppies, but they're basically, you know, my older dog is full-grown dog, and the puppy is definitely getting into full dog territory at this point, but she's a big sweetheart, and she may barge into my office at some point because she likes to do that while I'm streaming. I have hidden her squeaky toy. So hopefully, unless she brings another one with her, we won't have Nezuko squeaky toy in our ears tonight. And yes, my puppy's name is Nezuko because I'm a massive nerd, obviously. That's why I paint little plastic soldiers to move them around a tabletop with a tape measure. But we are, I said, going to try and finish up these last couple of backpacks tonight and have a discussion about what to paint next. My intercessors are primed. I mean, I could go straight into painting intercessors. But, you know, like I said, we're kind of at a point where we have some options. Do I want to, you know, start working on assembling a whole new model, or continue with the combat patrol to get it finally finished? Like I said, I've been working on this combat patrol for quite a while. I'm getting paint in places I don't want it. But that's part of the joy of painting. These little guys, you go back and, you know, repaint things that you painted 57 times because you accidentally got paint somewhere you didn't mean to. And whatever color scheme you go with, any of that, don't let anybody tell you you're doing it wrong. They're your minis. You spent your money on them, so paint them how you would like. I mean, I'm sure there's, you know, folks that look at my Templars, and they're like, oh, they're too clean. It's too nice. It's supposed to be grim dark. You gotta grunge them up. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, they're my minis, dude. I paint them how I feel like painting them. But at the same time, that is one of the neat things about painting these black Templars. Of course, you've painted them black, so while I'm streaming, you can't really see too many details on the mini because everything's blacked out. But as I add the colors, all the different parts of the model start popping out, and all the details come out, and then they start looking really cool. And currently you'll see me, like, most of the time I'll use like a wet palette over here. I do not use metallics on my wet palette because it'll turn all your paints into metallics because it contaminates the sponge, and like all your colors will end up being glittery. So, I mean, if that's what you want to do, you do you. But when painting metallics, which I just realized I'm using the wrong brush to do because I haven't been painting as much as I would like. I usually have, separate brushes for my normal paints, my metallics, because metallics will kind of tear up the bristles. I don't do non-metal metal. Because I think it's a lot of extra pointless effort, and B, I don't know how, because I think it's a lot of extra pointless effort. I've seen some like really cool minis that have been painted with non-metal metal. It's just not how I wish to spend my time. I think just slapping some metallic paint on there makes them look just fine, and that's the method that I go with. Yeah, with metallics, I'm usually not using very much, so I'll paint straight out of the pot with them. Just got to be careful not to get an excessive amount of paint on the brush, so you're not clogging the details with excess paint. And for like the metallics I use the most, like my lead belcher, all my paints are pretty much Citadel paints. I do have a few Army Painter paints that I used for a painting competition that I did because I needed pastel paints because that was the theme of the competition. But anyway, for the metallic, like the one that I use the most, the lead belcher, Citadel makes an airbrush lead belcher that is already pre-thinned and works amazingly well for painting straight out of the pot. So that is one of the reasons I paint straight out of the pot with my lead belcher. Because it's already thinned down and works amazingly well. But I do have to remember, keep a little bit extra water in your brush to help the paint flow off. I mean, not that you got drips of water coming off your brush, but carefully work on getting around all the teeny tiny edges and fine details. And let's see here. Got these two little pods on the side here. So I do need to spend some more time getting into the lore and like knowing what all the parts of the power armor are. Like these things, I just call them backpacks because they go on the back of the Space Marine models. I don't know what purpose they serve. Like in the Space Marine video game, just the regular backpacks, seem to be, venting some sort of heat. I don't know if it's like just a mini reactor to power the suit, or if they serve some other propulsion purposes. I know it's not a jump pack, those are special, but they're just little backpacks that the Space Marines use. I said I'm sure they're like some sort of power pack for the suit of power armor, but I don't know exactly how they work because I need to, like I said, get into the lore a little bit deeper to understand all of that, and I just haven't done it yet. And you'll also see that, of course, I'm painting the backpack separate from the model, because I know when I glued this on, you are not going to see any of these like little details that I'm doing back here when it's attached to the Mini. But I mean, I guess I'm just a little extra and want to have these little fine details done. I said, even though fully assembled, no one's going to see it. But I just like knowing it's done. Hey, Creed. You like the OCD? Yes, I have to paint everything, all the little pieces. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. Good to see you catching me live for once. I mean, but at the same time, it's awful late. Shouldn't you be in bed? Hopefully you're, not annoying the missus by, listening to some weird streamer on TikTok ramble on about painting little plastic soldiers. Oh, well, I mean, gotta work on that. Always remember to stay hydrated. Cheers. Same. We've got a fairly good sized house. That's why I get to hide my office in the basement. Although the weather's saying it might get a little dicey this evening. And hopefully nothing serious happens, but they're saying, maybe, tornado weather. Which is always fun. So hopefully I don't lose power. But Well, this is my workaround for adult beverages on TikTok. They can't see what I'm actually drinking. Um, I've actually been a little light at work. Of course, it's, you know, 7:30 p.m. right now here. Um, but I've been a little light at work and getting finished a little early lately. But everything's going to be a mess for a while. Um, they built a new warehouse for us, and apparently the inventory system for the new warehouse went live last night. So things that I should be delivering were pulled from the new warehouse but weren't brought over to the old warehouse. So there was a lot of confusion this morning. So I didn't have everything I was supposed to do for my deliveries. Oh, I think we've got, a couple weeks left, and then the chaos is going to ensue when we move from the old warehouse to the new warehouse. A lot of daily routines are going to change at that point. How they stage our deliveries for the day is going to be different. How we, process our returns when we get back is going to be different. It's going to be an absolute mess. And of course, at the same time, and I haven't really, said too much about it to my coworkers, and hopefully none of them are watching right now. And these things aren't saved anywhere except for Twitch and YouTube, so they'd have to sit through an entire rambly YouTube video. But I have applied for a supervisor position, and would no longer be a delivery driver. I'd be in charge of the delivery drivers. But haven't heard much on that yet. So we will see how that goes. And like I said, I haven't really said anything to people at work, and they don't pay attention to me most of the time because I'm a nerd. No. Yeah, I don't think I'd be a captain. But I have been a corporal before. So I'm fine with corporal. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at now. I am just one of the guys doing the grunt work. And like when the position came open, at first I was like, no, I'm just going to keep my head down. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Don't get involved with all the big decisions. And then, the more I thought about it was, at some point, I'm no spring chicken. I'm not going to be able to keep up with this work, so I need to find something that's a little less strenuous. And by getting a management position, once you're a manager one place, you can usually take that anywhere else you want to go. So that's one of the other things I'm looking at is, it's kind of a stepping stone to bigger and better things in the future. Yes, I'm decently paid. They pay me enough to keep coming back, so I guess well paid works. But yeah, just finally, getting these last two backpacks done. See a continuous improvement. I mean, yeah, that's kind of like how I'm looking at it. Is opens up opportunities down the road for, like I said, either moving to a different company or staying with the same company and moving to a different location, because we are a national company, and as a matter of fact we're international, so I mean there's potential overseas opportunities. Not that I get my heart set on going that route, but I know it's an option. Yeah, I have no idea what lean is. My wife, she deals with something called lean. And lean is one of those words that means several different things. Like, lean is in thin down, skinny, or are you talking like lean against leaning up against something? Quality control. I see. See, QC is something that I understand, and wish my company did as well, because we're lacking in the quality control department sometimes. Which is very frustrating when you deliver an item that weighs 80 pounds. Right, well, boy, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm absolutely shattered. Yep. I mean, I hope everything's going all right for you. Just keep at it. I saw your little post earlier, and just keep kicking through it. You'll be all right. I'll be around to give you shit and listen to you. If you need to talk or anything, you can always send me a message. But you have a good night. Get some rest. Probably have a long day tomorrow. Alrighty. Hopefully my phone will notify me, and I will catch you and stop in and see what you're working on next. Yep. I mean, I've got a couple of TikToks with my face on them, but they're buried under my, painted plastic. But you have a good night. Get some rest, man. See, and that's always nice, just random people that you come across online, whether it's painting minis and you come across something that they're working on, then you catch them live and you start chatting. That is one of the neat things about the internet. Whether it's painting minis or playing video games, Creed is somewhere in the UK. Wonderful guy, entertaining, and you know, only know him because I've watched some of his painting streams, and you know, offer tips and tricks sometimes when he's painting a mini, and he's getting really good too. But you know, never met him before TikTok. Chances of us meeting in person are fairly slim, because he's in the UK and I'm in the Midwest of the United States. But you know, you come across those people every once in a while online, and like you can make friends with them. And you know, of course, it's a lot easier when you're engaged in a shared hobby. Of course, this is, you know, painting little toy soldiers, and we're both working on, you know, Black Templars. I think he has more time to paint than I do, so he's farther along in his combat patrol and other minis he's done. But yeah, if you have a chance, go by Creed Sniper's channel, give him a follow, like some of his videos or his TikToks. He's a good guy, and just like everybody else, he's got life going on. But yeah, like I said, we're just trying to get these last two, you know, little backpacks done for my initiates, so I can finally say I have one completed unit for the Templar army that I'm building. Well, I guess I do have one completed unit, my repulsor or impulsor. That's completely painted, but it's not a unit of guys, it's a vehicle. All right. I think that's got this one for the silver bits. Of course, this backpack has candles on it, so let me dig through my pile of paint and find the one that I'm looking for. Not that one. Don't leave your brushes standing in water, it ruins them. So, pro tip there. Okay, no, it's Corax white. There it is. Let's paint some candles real quick. And I'm going to need this wash as well. So make sure this is shook up real good. And we're going to do a little pallid witch flesh. And we don't need a whole lot. Oh, I hate these paint pots sometimes. So we'll just get a little blob out of there and drop it onto our wet pellet. I said that should be more than enough for these tiny little candles. Get a little water, thin that out, and oh, the joy of living with dogs. You get dog hair everywhere. So yeah, thin your paints. Should be about the consistency of milk when you're painting. But But yeah, we're just gonna kind of go over the candles here. Make sure we get these little wax drips going down the backpack. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for stopping by. TikTok's a little bit more difficult to keep track of, like what's going on with the chat and whatnot. I try. If you were on Twitch, and you leave a message on Twitch, my headset dings, so it's a lot easier to keep track of people talking on Twitch. But I just go live everywhere. That way I can just work on building an audience, building a community. If you do go to my Twitch page, there should be a permanent Discord link if you want to join my Discord. I'm in there sometimes, while I'm gaming or, chatting with folks. Like I said, there should, my Twitch page is, the address to my Twitch page is in my TikTok bio. So you should be able to, look me up there. There's a couple of channels in there set up for, like, what I'm working on, finished models, stuff like that. So I do have a Discord. If anybody's wondering, just go to my Twitch page and you can find the link for that there. Because I don't really know how linking stuff works on TikTok very well, because it is the new platform that I'm least familiar with. But I post my project pictures here and what I'm working on. I've finally started going live on TikTok, although I don't have enough followers to just go live randomly from my phone, so I have to be at home at the computer, which I appreciate, the ability to do that. But, lets me start, building a following over here, and, hopefully I can get, some folks over to Twitch as well. I think I finally have the followers, I just don't have the average views to get into the affiliate program. But this is my hobby. I don't do this for money. I do this for fun and to waste time and just, talk to people when they decide they want to chat. Although, if you just want to come in and listen to my weird music that I listen to and watch me ramble on and paint, you're more than welcome to lurk. I'm not going to say anything negative about that. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Even if it's only for a couple minutes. I just like sharing my hobbies with people. All right. Think we're good on that. Now this is one of the fun parts, because that paint dries fairly quickly. And then I've got this Griffin sepia wash that will do something neat on the candles if I remember what brush I'm supposed to use for my washes. Trying to keep an eye on the list of folks that are hopping in and out. This is not the brush I want. This one is, because I saw my nephew in here for a second. But let's hit this with this Griffin sepia. And it makes the candles, start looking like they're aged a little bit. Gives them kind of a cool effect. I just kind of dab that on a little thick. Thick with 2 C's. Sorry. I can't help myself sometimes. But now that we've got that wash on there, I don't know how well you can see that. We're going to give that a couple minutes to dry. And then we'll go back and we'll kind of highlight little wax drips. Just gives them kind of a cool look on those candles. That brush goes over there. So while that dries, try and keep my desk somewhat organized while I'm doing this. Remember to hydrate. And when you hydrate, you should be drinking water, not adult beverages. But it's all good. Let's see here. Because I got paint in a couple places I didn't actually intend to. Get a little blob of our Abaddon black out. And we'll do a little touch up. How do I have another giant blob of paint in there? I'm going to have to clean that cap again. Paint gets up around the top of the cap and the pot doesn't close right. It's annoying. Very, very annoying. But again, kind of thin your paint out a little, and you can see on this one, look up along this edge right here. Got some silver outside of its intended area. So we'll just touch that up real quick. Let that dry again. Touch up and dry, touch up and dry. Keep bouncing back and forth to the different things that you're trying to paint. Okay, back to this one. Let's see here. Go ahead and start doing some edge highlights. See if this Dark Reaper is still usable. Yeah, I'm going to have to pull a little bit more out of the pot, but we're going with some Dark Reaper for our first edge highlight that we're going to do. Just grab a little blob out of there. Drop it into the spot on the palette that I've been using for this color. Twist the excess paint off the brush. And then, just kind of following the edge lines of the armor with the backpack. Start getting our edge highlights on there. We're just kind of using like a little bit of the side of the brush to do this. Just grabbing that edge and giving it a little bit of brightness to contrast against that dark black of the Abaddon black. Like I said, all this in here, no one's ever gonna see it, but I just kind of give it a once over anyway, because I can, and it's my mini, so I can do what I want. But I don't know if you can see that yet. Oop. That was fun. But you can start seeing like the edges come out a little bit more. But again, these are such dark models. And of course, black Templars, black paint. Kind of have to do something to get the lines a little more visible. So that's why we do our edge highlighting. Very slowly, carefully, meticulously. And we'll do a couple of edge highlights to get a little bit lighter each time. Like I said, we're just trying to focus on getting these backpacks done tonight, so we can decide what we want to paint next. Because like I said earlier, I've got a little bit of a backlog going that I would really like to get to the point where I can work on them. But I don't know which one I'm going to work on next. I know I've got my intercessors primed, and I really should do them first. That way I can, get my combat patrol done. But I have so many other cool models that I want to paint. I've got Grimaldus. I've got a Brutalis Dreadnought. I've got High Marshal Helbrecht. I've got a unit of Sword Brothers, all of which need to be cut off the sprues, cleaned up, assembled, primed, but I just haven't started on them yet. But they're on my list of things I need to do. Because painting minis is an amazing hobby. It's just very, very time consuming. Especially when you're going overboard on details. Like, these guys are beyond, just tabletop ready. And, I don't delude myself into thinking, oh, I'm some sort of amazing professional painter. I am not. I am some random dude on the internet that paints little plastic soldiers. I just enjoy spending my time doing it. So that is what we do. And when I have time, like I like to, I usually try and get on here Tuesdays and Thursdays. I've tried to make my, gaming / painting hobby nights. For a while, I was super busy at work. So, because I know how I get, I took a break from painting because I'd come home, I'd be exhausted. And if I mess something up on a mini because I'm tired, it will drive me up the wall, and then I will force myself to take the time to strip all the paint off of it and repaint it from scratch. And I prefer not to do that. So I wait until I'm better rested. I'm never well rested because I never get enough sleep, apparently. I look at my watch. I've got a fancy Garmin watch that tells me how rested I am, and no, my watch says, oh, you're depleted, you should probably have gone to bed hours ago. But I want to sit here and paint little plastic soldiers, so here we are. Listening to some synthwave, kind of chill, relaxing. Of course, it's royalty-free music or copyright-free music by Harris Heller, Senpai Gaming. So it's allowed to be used on Twitch and TikTok and YouTube without getting a copyright strike, which is why I play it. If I was only streaming to TikTok, I'd probably listen to whatever randomness that I wanted to that day. But because this does go out to multiple platforms, like I said, Twitch and YouTube, they get real cranky when you use copyrighted music and will completely mute your video, which is annoying. So I appreciate Hairseller making free music for streamers to use. I mean, I know, just the fact that I listen to, his music through Spotify, I know he doesn't get a lot out of it, but, the fact that it's being used on Spotify gives him a little bit of a kickback for it. Of course, he'll probably never see any of my videos or hear me talking about him, but also Harris Heller Senpai Gaming is also a good resource for streaming gear. It was his review of the Insta360 Link 2C, which is why I bought this camera recently and am using it. Oh, come on, seriously? Moment, please. Unable to verify. Really? Sitting here talking the whole time, painting the whole time, and TikTok thinks that I went away. I think that's my biggest gripe about TikTok. Streaming live on TikTok. For painting anyway, I guess. Because TikTok thinks that, you're just sitting there, so you're not doing anything. Even though I'm talking the whole time, I should be able to recognize that. It's like, oh, we're just gonna randomly pause your stream and say that you're inactive. Just super annoying. Anyway, I was saying, if you're looking for camera recommendations, streaming gear recommendations, definitely go check out Harris Heller on YouTube. If it wasn't for people like that, Harris Heller, other painters like Creed Sniper that I watch, I probably wouldn't be doing this. LJM is another YouTube how to stream person. And all these people I'm naming are younger than me. It's like, old guy goes to YouTube to figure out how to make videos for YouTube. That's the story of my existence when it comes to streaming. But of course there is a deeper story to why I started streaming. My oldest, he loves video games and whatnot, and he wanted to learn how to do streaming, and because he wanted to learn how to do it, okay, I have to be able to help him out. So I figured out how to do all of it, how to set up a stream and this, that, and the other. And I learned how to do it so I could help him learn how to do it. And then of course, your average teenage child, of course he's just turned 20 now, lost interest about 5 minutes in, and I think he's getting back into it now. But you know, I've kept with streaming and making videos and whatnot, you know, better than he has. But you know, at the same time, I kind of have to know what's going on. As I drop my brush. So, you know, if he decides he wants to pick it back up again, you know, he has a resource to help him out. And if I have to go over to his house and help him set something up, I'm available to do that. But yeah, learned how to stream so I could teach my kid how to stream, and just had fun doing it. So, you know, I kind of have held on to it as a hobby. And I've done all sorts of different things. You know, started out playing video games on Twitch. Of course, like I said, it's a hobby, so I do not have any, you know, real significant following on any platform. But you know, like I said, it's just I used it as a way to bond with the kid and, you know, be a resource for him when he needs it. Okay. So first round of edge highlighting is done, and the wash is dried on the candles to the point where I can go back with the pallid witch flesh and along these edges here where the wax is melted a little bit, you know, brighten those back up. I just think it, you know, adds some of that detail back into them. Makes them look cool. Unfortunately, I'm sure they've made a replacement wash color for the Griffin sepia, but that is a color that I don't believe Citadel makes anymore. So that is, you know, so when I say, okay, I'm using this color, some of my paints are older than my viewers, or I guess my washes, not my paints, because my paints that were that old are no longer functional. I've had to throw most of those out. But I'm going to pull out some Dawn Stone real quick, because that's what I'm going to use for my next round of edge highlights. But yeah, they just Citadel updated some of their paint lines at some point, and so I don't know what the replacement colors are, what they would be today. So if I pull out a, you know, super old paint pot and say, oh, I'm using this color, it may or may not exist anymore. So just a heads up on that one. But using this Dawn Stone, just very quickly, just going to kind of tap those wicks to make it look like the the candle was lit at some point, and they're a little ashy. And then I said the Dawn Stone is the next edge highlight layer that we're gonna do. Just brings those edges out a little bit more, because that's with the Black Templars, the armor is so dark, so you gotta use the edge highlighting to really be able to see like what's going on with the mini, bring out the details of the model. Otherwise you just have this little black blob that you look down on the tabletop. Yeah, just slowly but surely working around the mini again. And I understand there's like other painting methods. You don't have to do each individual color doing all the edge highlighting. Like I've seen, I haven't done it before, but I've seen something called slap chop, where you dry brush with grays and whites, and then you use a contrast paint that's just kind of a really thin down paint, and because of the different shades of like the grays and whites that you've dry brushed, it kind of does a lot of the edge highlighting for you, and you can go back in there and go and do a little bit more finer detail stuff. But it's my understanding it's much quicker to do it that way, which at some point I'll experiment with that and see how I like it, because painting to this level of detail like I do, just on a day-to-day basis, if I was ever to decide I wanted to try and start doing commissions, this takes way too long. And I'm not gonna ask somebody to wait however many months it would take me to paint an army like this. I started painting minis again I think last October, shortly after the Space Marine 2 game came out. And in that time I've gotten one vehicle painted, and I'm just now getting to the point where my first 10-man squad of actual guys is going to be painted. So it takes a long time if you're doing the traditional method of painting everything. Just kind of grab a little bit of this edge on here. The little dome part of the backpack always tends to give me a little bit of trouble, or I end up getting too much paint on it in places, but it's fine. But they are coming along nicely, considering they started out as just, base coated with Abaddon black. I do use a gray primer, so all my minis kind of start out like that, just gray spray paint. Or I say that, I've got a much larger example here. Pull out the smallest thing on my desk. Sounds about right. But start with a gray primer, and then I will, for these guys, base coat with the Abaddon black, and then start working on all the other colors that I do. So like right now, currently using Dawnstone for edge highlights. We did a first layer of edge highlight with Dark Reaper, which is kind of a bluish gray color, and we just kind of progressively lighten up those edges. I know some people do like object source lighting and all sorts of crazy advanced techniques that I just couldn't be bothered with. I mean, I think the object source lighting is really neat, but it's it's so situational. Like it, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have a bunch of like object source lighting on your mini that, I mean, would only look like that if it was in a dark hallway, or out in the field in the middle of the night or whatever. And maybe that's how you have your battles going in the theater of your mind while you're playing the tabletop. I mean, me, I always picture it like my guys are out on the battlefield and it's high noon or whatever. I don't do a very good, what is his name now? Cassidy, I think. Something like that. Because Jesse McCree is offensive. Or some weird stuff. I don't know. I haven't played Overwatch in I don't know how long. I just know there was some controversy about like the character and the developer that he was named after. Somebody's feelings got hurt, so they weren't allowed to call him McCree anymore. Whatever. None of my business. Like I said, it's not a game that I actively play anymore. I mean, I paid for it. Of course, now it's free. Overwatch 2. So I could download it and start playing it again at any time, but then on top of that, they got rid of the, or they significantly changed how you acquire and buy your skins. So it's like, I don't even know how to get the cool looking skins anymore. So it's just like, whatever. All right. It's got that little dome on the back here. Kind of carefully get a little bit of extra paint on those. Oop. About to rinse my brush. Almost forgot something. There's little vents down here on the lower part of the backpack. That way you can see them. Okay. And before I do my finishing touches on these, because I will add a little bit of color, because I like to, I'm going to set this brush down and get my wash brush out and attempt to remember where I put my Nuln Oil. Give that a good shake. And we're just gonna sling some Nuln Oil around the shiny bits. Just get a few more of those details to pop out. I love Nuln Oil. Agrax Earthshade washes. Amazing stuff. I mean, it is 100% talent in a bottle, is what I always call it. But it helps you like clean up the edges, where maybe you got a little extra paint where you didn't want it. Oh my god, I hate these freaking things. And now that's gonna be a pain in the butt to close. Anyway, Citadel paint pots are very annoying sometimes. Just FYI. But yeah, we're just kind of slinging some Nuln Oil around all the silver bits. Brings out some of the details and little vents and whatnot. Cleans up the edges of them. You don't have to be super precise with it. Just kind of smear it on there and go. Although you do have to be a little bit careful about touching it while it's on there. So that's the thing I always try and be careful with. Hopefully, like you'll see like these little pieces of sprue that I use to hold parts while I'm painting. Sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. All depends on what part of the model I'm trying to get paint on at the time. And you got these little tubes back here on the back of the backpack that you're just trying to get a little bit more detail out of that no one's ever going to see. And with the other one, I'm going to do the same deal. People are viewing my profile on TikTok as we speak. My phone just buzzed at me, which made my watch buzz at me, so I always look at my watch when it buzzes. Make sure it's not the wife requesting my presence or assistance with something. But yeah, just going around, like I said, once again, getting our little shiny bits painted or washed, doing a wash on them. Trying to be very careful not to touch the stuff that has the wash on it. And this one I am going to have to jab the stick in because I don't have candles to hold on to like I did the other one. And then just kind of the domed piece in the middle back here. And we'll let those dry for a few minutes. But yeah, I'll always have some extra sprue pieces lying around. They're very helpful for holding little bits while you're trying to paint them. I showed you earlier, I take a piece of sprue and glue a helmet to them. Makes it easier to paint them. All right. Gotta shove this stupid little thing back out on the other side of the lid. All right. Now I need Evil Sun Scarlet, if I can find it. Because I know I need that. And my Baharoth Blue. And I will show why. Let me grab this other holder real quick. I thought I painted that other. I'll be right back. Maybe I didn't. Oh, maybe that was just on the neophytes. Nope, just on the neophytes. Sorry, trying to remember how I painted stuff. I do not need the Baharoth Blue, because I only did that on the neophytes, so that can go back over there. But there's a couple little dots on the sides of the backpack that I paint with the red, and there's one, like, you had to like really pick it up and look at it to see it, but inside here on the back of the backpack, there's like one little spot that'll put like a little blob of red. And because I don't use very much paint on these, this is another one of those instances I'll paint straight out of the pot because I'm just doing, you know, little teeny tiny dots. But most of the time, wet palette, thin paint, you know, thin your paints out, do it the right way. But I do have my, you know, select things that, you know, it's quick and convenient just to, you know, get a tiny dollop of paint directly out of the pot. Make sure we add a little bit of water to the brush so the paint flows off nice. And like I said, just a dot there. Dot there. I always try to make it like just this little bubble of paint. And one right there. So that teeny tiny little dot on the backpack that no one will ever see. But I know it's back there, so my OCD requires that I have it painted. Dot there. That dot there. And that little dot there. And that is the backpacks complete. So we'll rinse the brush out again. And dry that off. Ah! My paintbrush does not want to stay in my paintbrush holder. And let's see, this is his backpack. So, if you painted your mini, super glue. If it's bare plastic, plastic cement. Like when I'm assembling the guys, before I start painting, like to get them to this point, these guys don't have arms on them because their gun covers their chest and I want to be able to paint their chest. All of their arms holding guns are in this bag. I didn't glue the arms on, so I can, you know, paint the crest on the chest. And we will do like a little bit of, you know, extra fancy finish stuff once we glue the backpacks on and give them a chance to set up a little bit. But just a tiny little drop of super glue in that little recess on the back. Make sure I've got the right one. Slap that on there. And we'll give that some time to set up. And then the fancier backpack for the fancier Power Fist guy. Again, I wish there was freaking bubbles coming out of there. That's obnoxious. But, you know, just your little dab of super glue in there. And be very careful not to get super glue everywhere. because it will mess up your paint. And I think that was a fake bubble in there. Didn't get any real super glue. Come on. There's the blob that I wanted. Okay. Now then. Oh, come on. Don't fight me. I'm getting that on there. Because I put it in the little recess on the backpack because it kind of squishes up and around when you squish it down on there. But there we go. Much, much better. I said he gets the fancy backpack because he's got extra decorations. So we're going to give that a few minutes to dry up and set up. It shouldn't take that long, but just out of, paranoia of wanting it to set up, that should have that done. But I don't think you understand how long I've been working on these guys. And now they're nearly complete. Oh, I'm getting thirsty. Yeah. Yeah. So you can understand like how long that takes. I started this stream at like right at 7 p.m. My time. It is now 8:43 p.m. So 2 backpacks. That's all I've painted tonight. And it's, an hour and 45 minutes. Okay. So for the final bit that we're going to do on these guys, and let me actually grab my correct brush for this. Grab in Stormhost Silver. I doubt you can read that, but there it is, Stormhost Silver. Very carefully. Just gonna add a couple little highlights on our metal bits. So, like just the very tops of these little vents coming down. Brightens them up a little bit. Of course, now I need my extra glasses on so I can see exactly what I'm doing. And just a tiny little bit on the center ring, kind of on either side. And I definitely need to wash this brush and use some brush soap on it. The bristles are getting a little out of control. And just on the very edges of these big vents. Just to brighten those up. And I just, a couple of teeny tiny little dabs of paint, and just brightening it up in a couple of spots just, does something for it. Puts those little finishing touches on them. So just kind of this top edge on these 4 vents down here. A little bit around the center ring. So it doesn't take a whole lot because of how bright the silver is. And just like right along this outside edge. And don't forget, like, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you have any friends that, are into Warhammer or into Black Templars, I think my minis are turning out pretty cool. If you want to share those with them, I would appreciate it. And then, because I always forget, or almost always forget, there are a bunch of little rivets in various spots on the backpack. So very carefully finding these little rivets and doing just this teeny tiny dot of paint. No one right there. I can't tell sometimes. These things are too tiny. Nope. Not on that part of the edge. Uh-oh. Like I said, it's one of those things about Black Templar minis. When you're painting them, you miss like these teeny tiny details because the model is so dark. And so every time you put just like the slightest little bright spot of paint on there, it makes so much of a difference. Especially when you if you ever get a chance to look at them close up. But again, on this guy, going around, gonna popping those rivets with a little bit of extra silver. So I set the other one down and just noticed four more rivets that I need to do. Around the ring of the backpack. So, doesn't take a whole lot, just teeny tiny little dot of paint right on that little bumper raised plastic. Sorry, I think my head's getting in the way. I like to do that sometimes, just stick my head in the way so nobody can see what I'm doing. My secret recipe. While I'm sitting there telling you the whole time exactly what I'm doing. I think that's finally got all of them on that one. Like I said, I've got, you know, the 4 little dots in the middle back here. Fortunately, I did that right in the middle of the back, so that is an easy fix. But you do it on the edge. Oh, dang it. Touch the bristles, split them up. You do it like right on the edge, you get that some of the extra paint on an edge somewhere. It's like, you just, a lot of times you have to leave it. You messed it up, but the amount of effort it's going to take to fix that just is counterproductive. It's not worth it to try and cover that up. But we do still have some black on our wet palette over here, so. And I suppose that could have been like a scuff or a scratch or something on the back of his armor. But there you go. Disappeared. It's gone. And that is my last 2 initiates completed. Or almost completed. I've got some basing to do on them. Like when I do the basing, I'll do the shorter grass first, then I'll prime them. Or not prime. Oh my god, that would be awful. Won't prime them. I will varnish them. Do a clear coat on them. I do 2 different clear coats. I do a high gloss clear coat because it dries harder. To help protect the paint on the mini. And then I will go back and I'll do a second coat. I need some more paint because I got to put some writing on this Crusader seal. Then I'll do a matte finish clear coat so the mini isn't shiny. And that is how I finish these guys. I do need to put a couple of decals on, so I'm going to get my scribbles done on these Crusader seals real quick. Alright, looks like they've got something written on them. Our little friend here has a couple of them. I mean, it's just, squiggly little lines of paint. Doesn't have to be anything spectacular. And there you go. Got some finished Crusader seals. And because he has this one on his leg, I can't do his Crusade badge. But let us pull out our little sheet here of our decal transfers. And figure out what I did with my X-Acto knife and tweezers. And some people might cringe at what I'm about to do, but this is how I do my decals. So I will cut out the decal that I want to use. And people will tell you, oh, you've got to get these, special decal liquids. No, you don't. You take your decal. It doesn't matter. You get your mini in the approximate position you're going to need to pick them up. Keeping your decal pinched in your tweezers. Dunk it in your paint water that you use to rinse your brushes. Just dunk it in there. Let it sit there for a minute. This is why people cringe. Or may cringe. Get a brush. Tiny brush. Start poking at the edge of the decal. Because at some point the water will get it to release. There it goes. See, it's moving. Get it off the edge a little bit. It's going to fight me. Really? Come on, you. It is not getting on the paintbrush. Decal on the end of the paintbrush. Drop the tweezers. No, it does not. Then on to the mini. Just using a little bit of water. And there you go. Just drop it on there. If you have to push it around a little bit with your paintbrush, you have a little bit of time to move it around. There you go. Transfer right where it's supposed to be. See? There you go. And then, kind of just lightly brush over it a little bit. Make sure you get the water out from underneath it. Because when you varnish it, even though it looks a little shiny now, when you use the matte varnish on it, it ends up not being as shiny. So it looks like it's painted onto the mini. But that is how I do my transfers. It works for me. Doesn't always cooperate, but I usually get it to work. And then for our Power Fist buddy here, yep, doesn't always cooperate, but it always works. anyone on any other platform, because I'm live on Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube right now. The Doc Rose on Twitch is commenting on my transfer abilities or lack thereof. As the case tends to be sometimes. Alrighty. And this one is going on a tilt shield. So again, pinch it in the tweezers, dunk it in your paint water, let it soak up your paint water. Fortunately, I haven't had any just like slip off into the paint water yet. I have with other models I did years ago, like left the transfer in the water for too long and the decal just slips right off and then ends up stuck to the bottom of your water dish. That's always fun. Okay. Come on. Then right there on this tilt shield. Come on. Slide down a little bit. Need you straight up and down. Why are you fighting me? Try to twist the brush out from underneath it. Success! There we go. Got a little sword on his tilt shield. That makes him happy. Makes me happy. Good enough for government work. All right. So I'd say we're pretty well done with the painting. Sorry for the popping of closing that. Now I can take off the extra pair of dork glasses. Get the Baby Yoda dog toy out of my desk drawer, because that's where I hide it to keep the dog from squeaking it. Puppy definitely likes to squeak her toy right next to my microphone. Now I'm gonna work on our terrain a little bit, our base, I guess I should say, assuming I can figure out what I did with my PVA glue. So, junky old paintbrush, grass glue, just do a little blob on here of our grass glue and take junky old paintbrush and spread that around. Another blob. Must concentrate so deeply. Okay, anyway. Then we get our flocking out. I need to mix some more up. Yeah, we just kind of scoop it on there, rattle them around in there. Sometimes it takes a couple of scoops to get all that glue covered. And then kind of thump off the excess. And you can also pat it down a little bit. This glue dries fairly clear, so you don't have to worry about it showing through too much. And then this guy, once that PVA glue dries, I can paint around the edge of the base with the Abaddon black to finish the base edge off. I think I have a few minis I need to do that on. And then he's ready to be varnished. Once the varnish is done, we will glue a couple little tufts of grass on, and these guys will be finished completely, finally. But just squeeze some of that glue on there. Spread it around. And then we dig around in our flocking some more. Like I said, I need to mix some more of this up because I am running very low on being able to get these guys done. Get on there. Normally I just like plop it down in there and like swirl it around, and it covers the entire base. But I haven't mixed up anymore in a while, and it's just from a like terrain model kit that you can get at Hobby Lobby. But yeah, toss him back on his stand. And there you can see we got a finished mini, or nearly finished mini, with some basing material on there. And we are ready to figure out what we want to paint next. I said a few times this stream, I know not everybody's been watching the whole time. I do have some options. I've been working my way through the combat patrol, obviously. And for the combat patrol, now all I have left is the Marshal and the Intercessors. The Intercessors are primed, so I could start painting them at any time. But part of me kind of wants to take a break from the combat patrol because I have too many cool models that I want to work on. But there is a shelf over here behind me, and it has sitting upon it at this very moment Chaplain Grimaldus and his retinue, High Marshal Helbrecht, the Emperor's Champion, a unit of Sword Brothers, a Brutalis Dreadnought, all for my Templar army. So I have those options to paint. And then all the way at the bottom underneath that, I had my wife was watching a giveaway streamer with me, Josh the Mad Titan on Twitch. If you guys ever have a chance to go check him out, he does some good work. He's been obsessed with RimWorld lately, so you know he might catch some RimWorld gameplay. But he does paint minis. But while we were watching he had a giveaway stream for reaching a follower goal, and my wife won a pair of Chaos Knight War Dogs. So those are sitting on the shelf to be painted at some point. Am I going to make a Chaos Knight army? Probably not, but I think they'll be fun to paint. And if I can ever get my wife in here to do some painting, she has what is that? The Sororitas Fire to Immolator tank. She has an Immolator to paint. So if she decides she's not going to paint that, I will probably end up painting that as well. Also, various minis of the month, which reminds me, let me look real quick at my computer. Mini of the month for April. Has it been announced yet? It has, and I definitely want it. It is going to be a Death Corps of Krieg combat engineer. Yeah, definitely going to go pick that up this weekend. Yeah, I have no choice. That is going to happen. Let me rearrange all of my windows again because I brought up a web page. So yeah, that's cool. I want that. I gotta go tell the wife we definitely have to go Saturday to pick up the mini of the month. That is definitely happening. Office is starting to get a little bit warm because I closed the door. But yeah, what do you guys think? Last two initiates painted, nearly completed. I said everything else is just icing on the cake at this point to finish them up. Just doing the varnish and little tufts of grass here and there. But yeah, time to decide what to paint next. Do I continue with the combat patrol or move on to cooler looking models? And I know what the answer is probably going to be is I need to finish my combat patrol so I can say it's done and then have, then have no excuse but to move on to different models. But the question is, when I get to those other models, which one do I want to do first? Because Grimaldus looks way too cool. Have to get him painted. The Brutalis Dreadnought. It's kind of a tie between those two. Do I do Grimaldus or the Dreadnought first? And that's what I have to decide once I finish the combat patrol. But let's play a fun game. See if I can figure out how to do this. And apparently, the puppy decided to go ring the doorbell to get let out. Whether she did that on her own or not, I don't know. Hopefully she did. If she did, my wife will be in here to tell me all about it. But let's have some fun. Let's bring this up and test the zoom on this camera. Yes, dear.
Let's test the zoom.
Uh-huh. Did the puppy ring the bell, or did you do it for her?
I had to help her put her, like, she touched her nose to it, but it didn't go off, so I had to push her nose on it harder.
Yeah.
And then the wetness got on it and set it off.
87 times.
Yeah, like, I was, like, wiping it off. I couldn't get it to stop.
Yeah. Zooming in. Can I get it to zoom in far enough on those and still be clear? Unfortunately,
Can
no.
you refocus it?
Yeah, well, maybe if I move my microphone out of the way.
Like, does it have the ability to refocus itself?
It should. But no, it looks like it's... I don't know if I had the...
I gotta go check and see if they're ready to come back. They're pottying.
Yeah. View. Sorry. It's my new camera. I'm trying to play with it. So bear with me. Let's see. Effects. No. Nope, not that. More. Zoom. Nope, that's just all gestures. Anyway, unfortunately, no, it doesn't look like I can get zoomed in all the way back there. It's a nice webcam, but it's not that capable. But anyway, enough playing with that. I'll put the camera back in the corner where it belongs and start cleaning up. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming by and watching tonight. Super excited that these guys are basically finished. Definitely looking forward to getting on to the next minis, because some of them are going to have power weapons, and these are some, test runs I did for active power blades. I really like how this axe turned out. Hopefully I can replicate that again. But as for right now, I think we're gonna go ahead and cut it off a little early tonight, because I'm just basically out of stuff to do on these guys. But like I said, now I have to decide, is it on to the intercessors, or do I leave them primed on my desk while I work on putting a new mini together. We shall see, but I will probably work on them next. Of course, I still have more things to prime for that.
Look at that. Look at that beautiful work.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing. Wait, too far. Oh, this is harder than it looks. Is this why everybody always goes like this?
Yes, it helps the camera focus on something that's closer.
Look at that. Look at that. So cool.
Or, you know, like if they're doing it on this camera, they'll, you know, put their hand behind it. But
he does look cool.
But yeah, we should be back Thursday night. Planning on being live from 7 to 10 p.m. Starting new minis. Of course, we'll definitely have a lot more to paint on them. So we'll be back for that. I want to thank everybody for coming by and watching. Don't forget to like and follow. You can also like and follow me on Twitch and YouTube. Dune_Gunner on all platforms, easy to find. I'm even over there on X. I don't ever post anything there, but hey, it's there as an option. But again, thanks for coming by, thanks for watching, and we'll see everybody next time. And